As the rain fell over the pitch black hills of the peaks, and the fog impaired the vision of the weary-eyed traveller who just delivered his goods to the nearby villages. An evil and menacing presence lurked in the shadows of the midnight sky, waiting to claim the soul and the silver that crossed the palms of the vulnerable out-of-town traveller. And who might this dark and sinister character be? I hear you ask. Well, it was none other than Black Harry, the most notorious highwayman of his era. Harry stalked his prey from a distance, like a wolf, salivating at the thought of its next kill, waiting for the perfect time to strike. As he clutched the reins in one hand and mounted his horse, the other hand tightly grasped the gun. As the horse bolted out of the darkness, appearing out of nowhere like a ghostly apparition, and the fatal words would echo around the peakland: "Stand and deliver your money or your life." And as the traveller fumbled his money bag to hand over, shocked and startled and fearing for his life at the horror of the sight that lay before his eyes, Black Harry, without any hesitation, cocked back the hammer of his gun and squeezed the trigger. Once, twice, and 3 times for good measure, as the victim slumped to one side and onto the floor, face planting into the puddle. In one smooth motion, Harry would dismount his horse as his black leather boots hit the ground, smushing into the boggy surface, and began to walk towards the body. With each footstep a little closer to the loot he was about to collect, as he scavenged for valuables on the now dead corpse, chuckling to himself, proud of his late night work, as he rode throughout the peaks, disappearing through the fog like a haunted spectre. And back to the hovel he called home. The next day the villagers had been woken to the cries of murder, and they knew all too well who was responsible for this evil act, but not a soul would dare utter his name, as it wouldn't be worth the life.
So as you can see, you join me from a very moody Peak District. It's a very ominous feeling up here, and it's absolutely tipping it down. I've just walked up the steepest hill I've ever walked up, so apologies for, you know, if I sound a bit out of breath. But as you'll have seen from the start of this video, we're uncovering and retracing the footsteps of Black Harry, the most notorious highwayman of his era, and it's absolutely bouncing down. So today I'm going to take you on a bit of a story and a bit of a trip. So we're going to walk down Black Harry's lane. So this is the lane where he would have basically jumped and appeared from out of nowhere on his sort of horse and, you know, robbed the stagecoaches that were coming through. It's reported to be haunted, and I'm not too sure what you make of that, but given someone so dark and sinister, you know, you wouldn't expect him to sort of move onto the to the other side, really, would you? So we're going to go down Black Harry's Lane, and then we're going to go to the house where Black Harry once lived. Now it's gone, it's long gone, but the actual location I've found through the old map, so I'm excited to show you that. And it'll be strange to actually be stood where this sort of evil character once lived and retreated. And then we're going to head over to the actual hanging tree where his life, you know, came to an end, and he was hung on the actual tree. So this is the story of Black Harry. Sit back, get your popcorn out, and get ready. Sorry if I keep stopping, but I'm getting pelted on, because this is going to be one spooky story. Right, so I'm on Black Harry Lane as we speak. Now this is his this was his domain basically, up here. This whole stretch around here was where he operated. And I've got to say, you know, it does have that sort of scary feel to it. It is quite eerie. I mean, I have to take on board that I am in the Peak District on my own, sort of isolated in the middle of nowhere. But just walking this path, you know, the same path that he would have walked, is kind of weird. You know, I couldn't even imagine how scary it must be for people that were out of town travelling in the dead of night. You know, the fog, the rain, similar sort of atmosphere as it is today. You know, to be out of nowhere, some guy jumps out with a horse and a gun and a mask and asks you, you know, stand and deliver your money or your life. But without hesitation, Harry would just kill, and he'd shoot just as you were sort of going to give him the money. So I think part of the thrill for Harry wasn't just about the robbery of the money, it was a part of killing as well. And I think that's where he got his kicks, because he was a cold-blooded killer. But like I said, just look at this, no one's going to hear you scream up here. It's definitely got a vibe to it, it really has. So like I say, I'm going to carry on this walk now, but this is the actual path where the pack horses would have come down here, and you know, they'd have just collected and dropped off the goods and had a bag full of money and loot. I mean, look at that I've just seen here. That's kind of weird. It's weird up here. But even up here now, I keep thinking there's someone around me, but I think I'm just a little bit paranoid. And apologies for the shaky camera, because I've got to hold it with my hands. But like I say, we're making our way down Black Harry Lane now, and we're going to head over to the actual sort of crossroads where I think he would have startled a lot of people. And he would have, you know, he would have killed them, especially on here too. He would have jumped out on here on this actual path and killed people. So we're going to head over now to the crossroads, and then I'll take you over to his house. See you there. Right, so as you can see, we have a path coming this way, we have a path coming this way, we have one coming this way, sort of two coming up this way. Now this is the sort of hotspot that I think that Harry would have patrolled. This would have been the crossroads. Now Harry lived up here, his house was up here, situated up here. Now whether he was sort of stalking them, like I said to you earlier in the video, he stalked him. He was like a wolf, and he sort of stalked the movement of the traveller. Now whether he sort of came up on the tops of these hills here and had a look at him from a vantage point and seen which way they were going, you know, this would have been his sort of lookout post. He would have known everything that was going on in this area, and he'd have seen travellers from afar coming from this way and all the other sides too. Now I've just walked up here, this is Black Harry Lane. Now I've walked it all the way up, and it did feel a little bit eerie, I will admit it did, but I think, like I said to you, I think it's the sort of paranoia you know, you're on your own. I know the story, so it adds that extra element. But as soon as I got to sort of this bit here, it did feel quite eerie, and it felt like someone was sort of around you. It didn't feel good at all, but like I said, it could just be me. So like I said to you, this is the actual route. This is the crossroads where all the travellers would have been going to the other villages nearby, but this was the epicentre of where it all happened. And from a vantage point of maybe these woods here, from a vantage point but maybe from the top coming down, like I say, you know, he would have known this place like the back of his hand as well. So this was pivotal to his robbery, and this was pivotal to how he operated, right on these crossroads that I'm at now. So without further ado, I'm going to take you up now to where his house was once situated. So as you follow this bend round, we come to this plot of land here. Now, you've just got to imagine maybe a 20-foot squat, short house that was here, and it came slap bang up to sort of this fence post and went that way out. So it was like a short square block, and that right there is where Black Harry lived. Now, he is only a stone's throw away from the crossroads where we've just been, and there's vantage points from all over. There's this sort of hill here, goes higher up, so we could see right across the moors, right across the peaks, everywhere, the perfect vantage spot. Plus there was also getaway routes. There's also a heavily wooded area here where he could have possibly have, you know, hidden if the police came looking for him or someone came looking for him. Now you've just got to consider this land. Now this land is sort of barren now, but you've just got to imagine back in like the 1720, this was the home of a very, very evil and sinister person. 300 years ago, we're now talking about a man that took the life of innocent people. He ruined, you know, left a lot of people widowed, a lot of children heartbroken without the dad, and it was all because this man that lived here took their lives for money and for greed and for pure out and out cold-blooded murder. He was a killer of a savage kind, and it's kind of weird to think that we're actually right at the spot where he ate, slept and breathed, you know, right here. And I won't go in because this is private property, but I'm actually stood right here now where his house once were. So this land is tarnished with, you know, think of all the times where he was. Look at the view you get as well. Didn't even know that because of that tree, but what a vantage point. You could have seen him coming in, rolling off the hills. This is where we've just been, at the crossroads. So this is like prime spot for him. But just think about the devious and wicked plans that he formulated and plotted here. You know, he went to sleep with blood on his hands. He was an out and out savage, cold-blooded killer. And it's scary to think that this land now, you would never know that there was a house here, but this was the house of Black Harry. So after Black Harry was arrested, they dragged him straight over to this location here. Now this right here in front of me, this tree, this is where Black Harry took his last breath. And as you can see, it was a hanging tree, and you know, there's a good possibility it came off this branch here, possibly that one, but regardless, he was actually hung right in front of me now, right on this very tree right here. And it's scary to think that, you know, he took his last breath right here. Whether he was kicking and screaming or not, I really don't know, and I wouldn't like to say. But look at the age of the tree. It's absolutely massive, but you can see this is a perfect spot really. You look back at all the old videos and stuff and reading the old accounts, hanging trees look exactly like that, and they've actually boxed this bit in around it, so you know, it's kind of weird. And also over here, that pub right there, that was Harry's favourite pub. So that was where he went drinking after he'd committed the crimes and stuff. So it's very, very eerie to know that he took his last breath outside his favourite pub. But that right there is one hell of a hanging tree. And that's where Black Harry took his very last breath.
The Peak District is shrouded in mystery, with folklore stories and gruesome murders, and Black Harry being one of those stories. But like most killers, the reign must come to an end. And Black Harry's reign was cut short after he was apprehended by the Castleton Bow Street runners under the command of Blue John. Following his capture, he was quickly hung for his murderous crimes, with many reports claiming that he was hung at the hanging tree in the hamlet of Wardlow Myers, only a short distance from where he lived. And ironically, it was facing his favourite pub. Hangings back in the 17th and 18th century were a spectacle to behold, with many people flocking from the nearby villages just to catch a glimpse of someone taking the last breath. Once Harry was hung for his crimes, he was gibbeted for all to see. His remains were displayed in the gibbet for weeks to follow, and it's said that the Derbyshire vultures from Ravensdale picked his bones clean. Hangings were very common back in those days, and all across the Peak District, gibbets were deliberately on show, scattered across the landscapes as a warning to highwaymen and murderers, almost as if to say, this is what will happen to you if you commit murderous crime. Today, the story of Black Harry and his reign as one of the most evil highwaymen to ever have lived continues to be spoken about. And like most of these stories, there's a ghostly connection, with many still claiming that he roams the Peak District in the dead of night. And I have to say, after walking the same route that he would have took all those years ago, there is a very unsettling feeling on those hills. So next time you're taking a walk down Black Harry Lane, spare a thought for the poor innocent travellers who lost their lives at the hands of one of the most evil highwaymen of his era. And keep your eyes peeled, because maybe, just maybe, the spirit of Black Harry might be watching you.